PvZ2 Reforged's latest epic realm, Assault Airspace, is overall a major improvement compared to China's Sky City. However, this didn't come with a few pieces of cut content and scrapped ideas that didn't make it to the final release. That is why, for the second time in a row, I'll be discussing some cut content. This time around, there is a lot less scrapped content and ideas compared to Collisionist Carnival, which makes sense as they didn't need to do some major overhaul and instead just poured most of the mechanics that Sky City had and brought them over into Assault Airspace, with some new additions of course. The idea for Sky City's new name, according to the devs, was morally used as a way to tie into the April Fool's gag, where Douglas just straight up mentions the name out of nowhere. It also fits nicely with the other world's names, so in my opinion, Assault Airspace is a much better name compared to Sky City. Let's start with some concept art for the Realm Key, alongside the idea that an item, the aerial distress signal, would be used instead of the key to access the Epic Realm. This may be a common trend in the future, so don't expect any key-related items for Epic Realms anytime soon. We also have some concept art for some promo material. It was mainly scrapped due to how early it was in production, and how the full plant and zombie rosters have not been decided yet. This is probably the reason why Anthurium is here, as this is one of the few plants to not appear in the Epic Realm. Here is some concept art for how the cloud tiles would have been implemented before they became cloud tiles. They would have been ships that were shaped similar to the ship from the air raid minigame, and the player would have a set amount of them. They also could have been movable. Here is another concept on how the cloud tiles' shape would have been. They even decided to pitch for a shape similar to Lilypad, or even similar to Sod from Qin Shi Huang Mausoleum from PvZ Online.
Goddamn, would you look at that? The witch zombie. She is dead.
Eventually, they decided to go with the tile style. These are a few concepts on how the cloud tiles can be connected to one another. One of their artists, Redusu, suggested this. The one on the bottom right is a cloud design that was thankfully scrapped. Here are some concepts for the helmet and warhead pilot zombies. There wasn't a lot of color, which is why they were redesigned and then gotten their more polished renders. Before the gas pod imp was made, it was originally going to have Tesla pods that would shock plants. This idea would later on evolve into gas pods, as it tied well to General Camo's Super from Graveyard Onslaught. Graveyard Onslaught was a fan-made card game inspired by PvZ Heroes that has a lot of characters that actually appear in PvZ2 Reflourished. Characters like Ontaria and General Camo actually started in this game instead of being a full-blown new character from Reflourished. I left a link in the description so you can play the game yourself, though be warned, it's a very old project. The concept of the gas pod imps being tied to General Camo was a bit of a no-brainer. Eventually, it was given a more unique look and then polished to what we see in the final game. Here is a storyboard for the animators on how to animate the gas pod imp. Pause to read it. The missile zombie was one of the few zombies to actually not be implemented in Reflourished, as literally anyone could just swipe a few times to deflect the missile. Instead, it was proposed that a zombie with a rocket launcher would replace the missile zombie, a much better role that was miles better than playing Fruit Ninja every time you encounter this zombie. One of the concepts for the Commando zombie was a general zombie, but since General Camo was a general, it didn't really make any sense. One of the zombies that I wished made it in was a concept zombie holding a literal M249 squad automatic weapon. This would have been so cool to see in the final release, but was eventually scrapped as there was already a cardio-like zombie in the roster. Maybe he could appear in Insanity in the future. Who knows? Here are some concepts for what the Commando zombie's jetpack would have looked like. The jetpack was actually from an unused imp design used for the imps that would jump out of the Pelican 1 aircraft, before being replaced with parachutes. It was later on redesigned, while still paying homage to the concept. Here is a concept for what the Commando zombie's rocket launcher would look like. It took a lot of inspiration from the Fruit Bazooka from Crash Bandicoot 3. This design stayed and even went on to be in the final release. Here are a few concepts for the Commando Zombies Bandolier. The idea was scrapped and turned into a strap that would connect with the jetpack on his back. There were a lot of concept designs for the color of his tank top. During the work in progress phase, where a rocket launcher wasn't even designed yet, he was actually shirtless before given a tank top. Eventually, they went with a beige color. Galling P's design was one of the hardest designs to be implemented in the PvZ2 art style. They took many designs from other games into consideration, including vanilla PvZ2's Galling P. Eventually, they went with the one designed by Eric Sato. Here is some concept art for Puff Apple's armor. Since he would be constantly inflated when given plant food, they had to change it. During the concept phase for creating the air raid minigame, they thought of an idea for a branch type system similar to Beguiled, where you can pick the path for what plant you wanted. That idea had a lot of potential, but was scrapped because the level was already dynamic enough, and it would have made controlling the plane much more difficult. Here is the rest of the concepts they had for the idea. Pause to read. Here is some concept art for how the zombies would fall through the cloud tiles. This was mostly used for storyboarding as direction for the animation. Finally, here is a concept for how the seed packet UI would look like during the air raid minigame. It was unfortunately scrapped due to visibility issues. And with that was pretty much everything the devs have shown off about Assault Airspace's development. While not having as much concept art as Collisionist Carnival, they still had to go through a lot of hurdles to get this world into the PvZ2 engine. This one started as an April Fool's gag, before eventually becoming a pet project for many of the devs that worked on Assault Airspace. It's honestly absurd how much effort they put into this, with even getting a banger soundtrack by the very talented Eric Sato. Overall, phenomenal work by the PvZ2 Reflourished dev team as always. I'm RedCap, and thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for weekly Penny's Challenge videos, video essays, live streams, and piano parties. See ya!